What up, you guys? Welcome back. My name is Mianka Wright, your hostess with the mostest, and I am the creator and founder of A Set Apart Generation podcast. And today, our topic of discussion is hated by many, yet beloved by God. I'm not even gonna say nothing. Let's just unpack. Let's jump in. I went through something, and I told you guys that I was going to unpack it sooner or later. And today is that day. All right. But before I jump into and unpack that story, I want to bring up some very prominent stories in the Bible that didn't really mean much. Well, I'm going to say they meant much, but understanding why they were hated didn't hit me until this area of my life in my walk with God. Okay. So for instance, you see Joseph. Joseph was hated by his brothers. And as I, at one point in time, I'm studying the story. I'm like, okay, cool. They hated him because, he had dreams of, them bowing down to him. All right. They was jealous because of that. All right. You see the story of David. David, was a man after God's heart. And most of the time he was out in a field, out the way, not sitting at the table with his brothers. And when it came for him to be anointed, at the time, he wasn't even there. All right. The prophet had to ask, hey, do you have another son? Okay, and they didn't even think. I mean, I don't know what the discussion was, but I can just imagine. And when it came to David doing his part and taking down Goliath, his brother still felt some type of way. You're arrogant and all this, yada, yada. And I never understood. I said, why so hated? Why? But God, Job lost everything. His friends. I love the story of Job, by the way. It's a very... I read Job a lot when I was going through my situation, and the story fascinated me at that time when I studied it, because here is Job's friends. It's your friends. God in heaven just looking down at your friends, just telling you how you offended God. You didn't just, got on God's bad side, and telling you just a bad person with all this stuff going on in your life. All right. Then at the end of the story, God got to go tell your friends and check your friends and say, my servant Job was actually right. Now, why don't y'all do this, that, and the third, and pour into my son and watch him be blessed at double portion? These were great people who accumulated so much. All right. God prospered them. But during their low time, they had ops in they high and they prime. But during their low times, I'm like, God, there's nothing. Like Joseph was 17, or, it's just a babe when he had his dreams. And his brothers hated him. David, young, hated. Not even sitting at the table. I don't want to sit at your table. All right. And I didn't understand. I said, God, why are they hated? And why are they dealing with so much? Why are you putting these great people that you love through the fire? It's not fair. God has his reasons, and his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. That's one thing, but that's not the topic of our discussion today. Our topic is hated by many, yet beloved by God. I realized at this point it was because of God's grace and favor in their life that the spirits and demon within them hated. Has nothing to do with, how they looked. had nothing to do with. I mean, that could play a part from my understanding. There was, Joseph was a good looking man. David was, pretty nice looking. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other great leaders in the Bible, our biblical inspirations, were very attractive people. But it was the grace and it was the favor on their life and the prominent influence that was hated, yet beloved by God. Look at Daniel. God gave him aptitude, and he was a good, studious man. And he was hated, but God's grace and favor was on his life. All right, so Joseph was hated by his brothers to the point that they attempted to kill him. I never understood that level of jealousy, all because of the grace and favor that he received from his father. And sometimes I always think to myself, okay, look, there's grace, there's favor, but why? I didn't understand. Why was there grace and favor? Because of the heart. This is why God says, man go off appearance, God measures the heart. There was something in the hearts of these people that resonated deeply with God. David was a man after God's heart. Joseph, even getting into his point in his prime, he stayed loyal and faithful to the king, denying every advance of Potiphar's, I don't know if I'm saying Potiphar, whatever. Okay. Yeah, not a theologian. Okay. I understand the context in the text though. He denied every advance and didn't even talk to him about it. He just denied it. And he stayed faithful, not only to the king, but to God. And that's what I'm understanding now. Has nothing to do with the package, but it has everything to do with the heart. Jesus, good man, very good man, good friend, good teacher, move with compassion, blameless, upright, but they hated. Like, how could you hate a person who is just doing good? But it was the demons and the spirits, and I'm not going to say demons, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. I'm not going to give it that heavy meaning, but I know for myself when I was at a point in time, there was some demons within me that hated the conversations of Jesus because there was something that riled up in me when it came to goodness. But now on the other side, looking out, I can understand the hearts of people who hate people who have grace and favor. And sometimes it's just because of how others influence, how your influence impact those, you come across, and how people love and praise and say good things about you. That is hated. And then to have a good heart at the same time, that is your public enemy number one. Don't stand for nothing good. How dare you serve Christ at the same time? It's kind of hard to, be a woman and be beautiful, and, they call you all type of names and give you all these, negative titles from the Bible, and it's so because God's grace and favor, so that is the reason for the topic today, hated by many yet beloved by God. But anyways, before I tell this story about what I went through, I want you guys to take an opportunity after listening to this, and I want you guys to look up witchcraft in the workplace, okay? It is very common. If you are a believer of Christ, you are walking the walk. You are public enemy number one. So I want you guys to take an opportunity to study what witchcraft in the job workforce looks like, okay? And witchy and warlock personalities, so you guys can be delivered. And I'm not delivered, I know it's a lot of talk around it, but it just means rescued or released, or, like the old church folks be like, God released me from that job. And the old school people say, because it was some stuff going on. All right. This impacts a lot of people. And I don't believe that people take this seriously. You think because you go to work, you work with certain people, you don't mix with certain personalities, you come across the wrong one, okay, who has that, bruised ego, who is a conduit for evil, who is, very jealous in every way. You will be a target for them, and they will not stop until you are out of there. Okay. And I'm not talking about out of there, like out of their vicinity. I'm talking about out of the wits, the mind. Okay. Because that's what witchcraft is. It's to tap into the spiritual realm to mess you up from the inside out. Simple. And I want you guys to also look up the impact, the physical, emotional, and spiritual impact of staying and working in a very toxic and evil work environment. I vow to myself from this day forth to never be a victim, a recipient, or in the vicinity of a witchy, warlocky personality. Anyways, let's not go too far. All right. So, story time. All right. So, before I go into my story too, I want to say the scripture. All right. Okay. You got to just put the word in it. You know what I'm saying? Let it be known that you are a Bible believing podcaster. All right. And that's just what we do here. Okay. We're a set apart generation and we believe in the word. Let's go. All right. John 15:19 says, the world will love you as one of its own if you belong to it. But you are no longer part of the world. I choose you to come out of the world so it hates you. And that's New Living Translation. So for you guys who don't know, I gave a wonderful testimony maybe about a couple months ago about God being in control. Okay. And the grace and favor that was on my life during a very, very tumultuous time. Not only was I experiencing the absolute worst at that time, God came through in such a magnificent way. And that lets me know that God is always in control. So, for those who don't know, I quit a good job. Quit. All right? Because the culture was very toxic and unbearable. All right? And, I was hated. I mean, hated. Okay? Hated, because I chose not to fit in and be messy. All right? I chose to walk the narrow path. You want to make some people mad? Tell them you're not going to talk about people. Tell people, no, I'm not going to be messy. I'm not going to talk about the person that you sit next to every day with you. No, I'm not. And watch how intimidating that makes the environment. No, I'm not sitting at your table. And stand 10 toes down on that. No, I'm not going to. No, that's not what I represent. I don't care how you feel about me, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here, drink my tea, and I'm going to mind my business. That pays me. All right? And say that to a person while housing and being the temple of Christ. And watch something rise up that is not physical, but spiritual. And I'm going to tell you guys something. When God tells you to do something, it is not lovely. People think because you make it look good, you holding it very well, it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy being the first one in your generation historically to speak out against sexual abuse. And to come out and trust God that he will heal the bloodline for that to never happen to any girl or boy after you. It is not easy to come out to have a history of New Age, witchcraft, and this and that God said you, come out. I'm going to use you to set the captives free in your bloodline. It's not easy. Okay? You walk alone. You have very long nights because no one is brave enough and courageous enough to come out. They know that what you're doing is powerful. Yeah, it's wonderful. But they would never dare to speak out against it, because not only does backlash come, not only does that come, but judgment, persecution. And sometimes that is just painful. That is hard for people to undergo. So it takes a different type of backbone and a spiritual armor that only God can give for a person who is unqualified to the masses, but qualified by God to do something extremely historical. Okay? And to be backstabbed. Knowing that this journey you're taking, it needs to be done. For some reason, people, they love, you know what? We need more good people. But to step out and to actually be different and to be good, some people are secretly applauding you. And some people are just joining the hate because they don't have the backbone to step out and be different. It takes big, excuse my language, it takes a big heart. Which I thought I was going to say something crazy. Not today. And not today. But it takes a different type of person. Okay. I remember when I started to get, like, for years, I heard stories of things happening in my life about those very close to me. And it was heartbreaking when I get down on my knees and I pray to God about the things that I see, that I experience, I go through, that the unjust, the unlawful, hurtful things that people experience. It bothers me. All right. So to be a person, to work in an environment, to have that heart, you ain't like us. Who do you think you are? Versus people going within and figuring out what's going on within them. You will be the target. But I want you to understand the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Even though we're in the flesh, we don't war against the flesh. Okay? It is a spiritual thing. And for those who are believers in Christ and you are experiencing a very toxic, evil, sadistic work environment, just the culture is just a mess, it's because of the grace and favor in your life. And God is wanting you to be brave and step away, because God can take care of you better than any bi-weekly paycheck can. Okay? And I'm going to testify of that today. But anyways, so I'm in an environment, it's very toxic, you know. I see myself, you know, it's very toxic. I see myself basically deteriorating for a very long time, because people who have a heart after God, they're not doing it to get the check. They're honoring God with their work. That's why you're competent. That's why you're favored. That's why you're called upon. That's why you get that. But when you come across people who see that and they are on the losing side because the devil already lost, they will do everything to ensure that you are not celebrated, you are not seen, your reputation is thrown dirt on, you will be mocked, you will be a laughing stock, and don't be pretty. Oh no, don't be pretty and do all this. Oh no, the devils hate prettiness. But I was watching testimony about a man who went to hell, and he said the women who was down there who was pretty, the demons hate that. So when you hate a woman just because she's beautiful, you are operating just like those demons down there torturing pretty girls. Okay, you go to heaven, God created you, they ain't feeling no type of way. Angels ain't no, I ain't never heard no story of no angels getting mad because you're beautiful, because the angels are beautiful. God makes beauty. All right. But the devils hate that. All right. So don't be beautiful and being competent and serving God. Who do you think you are? How dare you come in this community and think God gonna come through for you? No, because I know who my God is. So I quit the job. I leave. After months of crying, hurting, listen, sis just now growing my edges back. I'm just growing my edges back from the level of stress, okay, that I was experiencing. Let me tell you one thing about God. While I was there, I was having dreams. God speaks to me in dreams. Whenever God wants to tell me about the people around me, he will give me dreams of who they are. Even if these people don't even recognize it, this is a revelation from God of what type of character you're dealing with, and the Holy Spirit giving you insight to protect you and warn you and preserve you. So I was having dreams about cats, and these cats were vicious. I'm telling you, they had like these really big teeth, like foaming at the mouth towards me, and they were growing and growing. So I learned that the symbolic, I knew it, but confirmation, I got confirmation that this was a witchcraft attack. Okay. This is something against you spiritually to derail you, your destiny. This is beyond work. This is beyond where you work. And to have a environment where this take places, because you come across a lot of people, if you work in a public place, you can be a victim of a broken ego and immediately be attacked in the spiritual realm because this person feels inferior toward you. Okay. But anyways, I was having these dreams, and they were growing and they were growing. So and God is showing me this stuff, and I'm having more and more dreams, and I'm not going to speak too much of it, but that dream lets me know that this was something witchy going on. And the symbolism of and not all dreams about cats, I will say, are symbolic too. It depends on the context of the dream, because you can have a different type of scenario. But in this dream, they trying to take sis out, okay, but they never could. That's the good thing. They never could. They would gang up, the numbers would grow, and nobody could touch me in the dreams, but kind of like in reality. Okay, I kept my head up. So at the time I'm studying Job, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm asking God, why is the devil attacking Job? Why would the devil attack Job? Why would you even give the devil green light for Job to lose all of this? Sister lost her edges. I done got down 20 pounds. Sister got her weight up. I feel good, look good. I'm happy. All right, happy weight. But this was so much stuff I was losing. All right. And I just could not understand. But Job was right. He was a good man. Daniel threw in the lion's den. A good man. Joseph and his brothers wanted to kill him. David, Saul wanted to destroy. These were good, righteous children of God. All right. And through the process, I am talking to God. I am getting more and more humble. I don't understand. I ain't gonna, question your Father, but you always like to let the story get real messed up. Like I'm a firm believer God will make you look absolutely crazy and ridiculous. Okay? It will be like, wait a minute. Like, God, are you here? Okay. And here I am. Lord, I'm serving you. What in the world is going? I'm crazy. No. So, anyways, I told God I'm letting all my clutches go. I'm just going through the fire, baby. And I look back on it and, I have forgiveness in my heart towards, everything that happened, but don't test me though. It's only going, it's forgiveness with protection, forgiveness, but I got to protect myself from you because I know what you're capable of and God already showed me and I'm not going to be a victim to it again. But anyway, so, I'm praying to God. I'm in my secret place and I'm still serving, loving God, recording content. I've recorded my deliverance from witchcraft. That didn't get produced and published until after I left my job. And I recorded that video in March. So March, April, May, June, the devil got it out for me. The devil got it out for me, okay? He got it out for me, but God is in control. So I leave the job. I left. Woke up one morning, my baby had to see me crying in tears because I was so hurt. Job, he's sitting there crying. Franz had to sit down with him. So hurt. And I leave the job because of the pain, the trauma, the mental, like I said, sis, it just falling out, losing weight, just very painful place. Did a lot to my self-esteem. It did a lot to who I was as a person, but I knew God was in control. He was there. I lead a job, good job, salary, meaning that if I worked 2 hours a week, my check was still going to be there. It was decent. All right. It was decent. It paid the bills. Okay. So I left and I told God, I said, God, I don't have no job, but I am leaving. I'm done. Okay. I left. Something was already set up for me before then, but it was going to be a period of time before that kicked in. So I left before I even had resources. I had a little bit of a nest egg that'll probably pay 2 bills, but nothing to the extent where I was like that far of a stretch between my new opportunity and, where I was coming from. So, I leave and I said, I got to do something. I said, okay, God, I left, but I had experienced so much peace. This is how you know that you are in a very poisonous place when you don't even have a source for money, but I am at peace. Okay. I had just paid rent, so it was a little bit, after the first, and I left. And I said, okay, God, I'm at peace. I'm feeling good. Go with my baby. And I said, okay, I'll work at something pretty, that'll get me in between, and from my last, position until my next one. So I go to McDonald's. Listen, you got to understand the level. You know how hurt you have to be. You know how low you have to be to come from a salary job with benefits. You know how much corruption you've had to experience, how much trauma to say, I just want peace. I'll go to McDonald's, okay? Because my baby needs to eat and I have bills to pay, all right? Got to get rid of my dog. I got to get rid of my dog. I just got to find a way to make it. I have to lighten some loads and this and that and the third. So I'm in this McDonald's interview and God says, leave. I'm not leaving. Where's the money, God? How about you put it in my account right now? Because I already told you, right? I ain't talking like that, but I'm pretty honest with God. I'm not the type to fake the funk with my father. So our conversations is very much my personality. So I didn't leave. And the person didn't come to, I'm in the place about to, this is crazy. You guys, this is crazy. Person didn't even come. So they didn't even come. So I just walk out. I kid you not. I go check the mail. This is like a couple weeks after I leave the job, but I'm so at peace. Okay. Don't need for anything, but I know for a fact that I couldn't sustain myself. Okay. So I go to the mailbox and I get a paper telling me that I got some thousands. I'm not going to say how much, but it was some thousands somewhere from an investment. What I didn't understand is that 6 years when I started this position, God was looking at this moment today. This is why I want you guys to understand God is in control. There is nothing the devil can do to you, say to you, provoke you, invoke you, and God not know and give you insight and a way of escape. What I didn't know is that there was a bucket of funds for my investment that I was put in over time in this company that I had no idea how much it got accumulated to. Okay. I didn't know how much, like, I didn't even know how to access this. Like, it was like out of sight, out of mind. Like, I never even knew where to even get this money. So anyways, I get this paper. When I tell you guys, I immediately started crying. Here is a person who was talked about, who was laughed at, whose life was a living hell by the hands of witches and warlocks. And here I am thinking I don't have nothing. Here I am in the last hour thinking that the enemy won, just like at the end. God told Job's friends, he watching them talk, they smack to Job. It's your fault. He says, my servant was right. My servant Job was right the whole time. You should never blame God when it comes to a storm. Ask God, what is he showing you in this situation? I ain't gonna say how much money it was, but it was a nice amount to pay some bills. You know what I'm saying? Get me in a very good place, you know, financially, and relieve so many things. And I was able to God even came through concerning my puppy. Okay. I had got rid of my puppy and God brought her. Like, God was just, I tell you, I love my God. I love him so much. My God said, ask me a hard thing. Okay. So I say all that to say I left a job. All right. In a very, very difficult, I completely have faith. I said, God, you are in control. And during this situation, I had so much to learn. These same groups of people that I begin to, becomes enemies of my spirit because it had nothing to do with my physical, and who hated the favor and grace of on my life. At a point in time, these were people I value. These were people I wanted to, be cool with, so to speak. And you guys got to understand, when God warns you about a person who does not mean you well, it's not because they're going to talk about you and gossip behind your back. Like, God knows the intentions of the hearts around you. And because people who have good hearts fall victim to this every time. Like I said before, I was so gullible. Everybody loves me and I love God and, and stuff like that. God, like, wait a minute, girl. First of all, I done told you sheets and wolf clothing. These are not Care Bears, baby. All right? And I want you to understand. And when it came to finances, I had to understand God will provide. Okay? So, any event you are in a situation, know that God is in control. He hears you. All right. John 15:27 says, and you must also testify about me because you have been with me from the beginning of my ministry. Tell of God's goodness. There are so many people right now listening to this podcast who are probably in a very toxic work environment. And you're probably trying to ask God, what do you want me to do? Understand that it is not God's will for you to be stressed out. Listen, it is not God's will for you to be the object of someone's infatuation. It is not in God's will for you to be in a presence where you are vulnerable to witchcraft attacks because you love God, you love Christ, okay? It is not God's will for you to connect with people He is warning you against. So when God is warning you against groups of people, stay away. God knows their heart. And even if they haven't done nothing to you, God knows what they're capable of. Okay? And I also had to understand that you have to trust God. You have to trust Him. He wants you to have trust. Faith is like the key to anything that you need. And I'm still learning this into this day. Faith come by hearing and hearing by the word of God. Faith without works is dead. Make sure you are in an environment that incubates, pour into, strengthen your faith when you are asking God to come through, because God will supply every need. Not one, not two, every. And I'm learning to this day. And I have vowed to myself, I don't care what it looks like. I'm leaving it behind. If God give me any indication that you up to no good and you on a demonic assignment, I am going to forgive you and I'm going to preserve my life and I got to go because I know what you're capable of. So if you are in an environment where you are exiled, pretty much, all right, for just standing on kingdom business, not saying you're perfect because I'm not saying I'm perfect, but you have dedicated yourself, committed your life, surrendering your mind, emotions, and wills to God. And you are receiving backlash. Ask God to deliver you, to release you from that situation, because it is a negative long-term effect that will happen to you in your family that you will experience if you don't leave and don't know when it's time to leave. Some people just stay in environments at the expense of a check. You don't have to do that. I don't care who you is. You listen. Sis left a baby. You know how much courage you gotta have to say I'm done and I don't know when my next check coming. But I'm going to trust God that He's in control. I am going to take this time and learn God and draw near to God in the midst of this situation, regardless of what it looks like. I want you guys to think about that. Get out of the grips of a witchy, warlocky work environment. Toxic, evil, culture. The enemy wants to sift you like wheat. But the fire of God is purifying. Baby, I came out even better. And I trust God. My God gonna do it. My God, okay? You know, even just a few hours ago, I'm like, okay, you know what, God? You got it. I'm not even gonna go back and forth with you about it because I know you got it, all right? So I hope this message helps someone. I hope that this gave you some encouragement to go. And when it's time to go, if you stay longer, you keep looking back and turn into a pillar of salt, you've missed out of that moment. Okay? All right. So that was such a wonderful thing. I told about the goodness and I said I was going to unpack that story. So God came through in such a beautiful way. God is so awesome. He is marvelous. He loves His children. I have never seen a righteous forsaken or their children begging for bread because He's in control. And I want you guys to understand that. And like, I can say that and say that because I know. Okay. The next topic of discussion will be according to your faith. Till next time, I'm out.